time is now 6 p.m. Our regular City Council meeting for December 1st, 2020 is now in session. First on the agenda is Councilmember Scagliola, who will lead us with the opening prayer and the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on those who gather in your name. And reflecting on this holiday season, with its emphasis on peace on earth and goodwill towards all, we ask for your continued blessing on those who protect and serve our community, city, state, and nation. And Lord, as some of us stress to find a perfect gift or present, let us be mindful of the real reason for the season, with the understanding that the best gift we have ever received didn't come with a bow or wrapped in pretty paper. No, the best gift was wrapped in swaddling cloth and laid to sleep in a manger. For our best gift wasn't so much a present as it was a presence, that of your dear Son. And Lord, as we conduct the business of the city, grant us the clarity of mind and strength of conviction needed to build a stronger community and a brighter future, inspired by your gift, your grace, and your holy word. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilman Scagliola. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. A special welcome to our distinguished guests. We have SCUC-ISD trustees Leticia Seaver and Robert Westbrook. We also have Commissioner Jim Wolverton. Thank you for joining us today. We have a couple of presentations. First, we are honored to have representatives from Scenic Hills regarding a fundraiser donation presentation to our first responders. Christine Taylor, Pat McMasters, and Carol Naharia. She's not here? Okay. All right. Mike's all yours. Go ahead, please.
I live in Scenic Hills.
You want the microphone, please?
Turn around and shake the microphone.
Okay. I live in Scenic Hills, and that is a retirement community right here in Schertz, and you have to be at least 55. And so that's slows some of us down, but COVID really started slowing us down, and a lot of doors were closing. Doors to potlucks, doors to dances, doors to dominoes, doors to card playing. Everything was shutting down. And so my committee is called Activities. So we weren't having any activities. And a lot of us own golf carts. And so we decided the first thing that we did was we said, well, let's do a golf cart parade in August when it's hot, and we'll call it Dog Days of Summer. And we just let all the neighbors know that we would be coming by, and we got $600 and put that in their Amazon account for the Schertz Animal Center. And then we thought, well, you know, animals got $600. What if we ask for people? And what people should we ask for? And we thought, you know, who comes to our community so often and does so much for us? And it's the first responders. So with that, we did a Halloween parade where we dressed up. And again, we just went through the neighborhood asking for money, and we got $1,400. So our first responders, we divided the money up, and the first check I would like to give to the police department representative. And this check is for $400. We hope they will find.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then the next is the fire department, that representative. Here we go. You're welcome, and they can use the money for whatever they want to, a Christmas party or equipment, or give it away again. We just give it without any strings. And then we also have a check for the EMS, and this is a little more. We decided to make it a little heavier, 600, because the EMS, they really touch our lives. So I challenge everyone here, as the doors are closing, there's always an opportunity. You just have to think outside the box what it could be, and take the challenge to do something positive, even in our environment that we are living in now.
Ladies and gentlemen, while some doors were closing, they managed to open several other doors. We thank you. Next, we have a presentation by Chief Long for the Citizens Life Saving Award.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you. We're excited to be here to go issue this award tonight. I know it's, as far as I can tell, the first one I've been able to find that we've done in quite some time, if not, over 20 or 30 years. If could get Leslie to come up. Just wait right here beside me and we'll go through. So what we're here for tonight, Mayor and Council, is we're going to give a Citizen Life Saving Award tonight. And so like I said, we're excited to do that. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, but I just felt this was one of the cases that really deserved to get that going again and part of the fire department. So I just wanted to kind of share some background of this call that we had that we're going to recognize this citizen for tonight. But on early on the morning of October 26th, we had a fire alarm call come in about 4:49 in the morning at the First Street Assisted Living Center. It was from an alarm monitoring company that notified dispatch that a fire alarm had went off at this location. And our dispatchers got some additional information and quickly elevated this call to a full structure fire that got additional engines en route to that location. When our Quint 1 and Battalion Chief arrived, they found smoke coming out of the front door and from a window to the left of the front door. The Battalion Chief was quickly able to ascertain from Ms. Barrientos here that all the residents were accounted for and outside of the structure. So we're talking about a 5-minute window there that she got everybody out of the structure as well by the time our crews arrived. So by doing this allowed our crews to concentrate on stopping the fire. Instead of having to divert and go look for citizens, they were able to just go straight to the fire, take the fire hose straight to that location and extinguish that. So that is what helped us out tremendously from that standpoint. Also, the sprinkler system in this room and in this building also activated, so that assisted in keeping the fire from spreading and keeping it at bay in the room of origin instead of spreading. So that was very helpful that activated. I'd certainly, in this instance, before we kind of get more into specifics, I would like to definitely commend our fire crews that was there that morning and made quick work of this fire. They continue to do a great job for our citizens and our businesses alike in the area. And, they continue to try to deliver that high-quality customer service. And in this case, after the fire was out, they carried everything out of the room that was burned and wet. Before I got into that, though, our fire marshal and deputy fire marshal arrived on scene, quickly initiated a fire investigation. The crews carried everything outside during that process. After that was done, they mopped the floor and dried the room and floor so we could get everybody. It was kind of cool that morning, so we were quickly able to get everybody back inside the structure. So I commend our fire crews for just how much help they were that morning in getting everybody back into the building and taking care of all the citizens on a cool morning like that. Then let me just get into now more specifics, the reason that we're here tonight. As we started gathering more information, one thing that become apparent to everybody on scene that early morning was the heroic actions of Ms. Barrientos here. As I mentioned earlier, everybody was out of the building when we arrived, and that she definitely played a huge role in that. Furthermore, we discovered when the alarm went off that she was making sure everybody was moving and getting out of the building and making sure everybody was evacuated. Then, recognizing that one of the residents' doors was not open, she went over and attempted to get in that room and was unable to get in that room. And so then she reacted quickly and without hesitation. She grabbed a chair, ran outside, and busted the window out and got that resident out of that window. And all this occurred as the fire crews were pulling up. So definitely, in a 5-minute window, she got everybody out, broke the window, pulled somebody out the window. And so that was truly a life-saving award because, what I didn't mention there is that room is the room of origin. So there was a lot of smoke in that room. There was fire in that room. And so quickly getting that resident out of there definitely saved that resident's life that day. And so we just felt with her heroic actions and how she went above and beyond that day that we wanted to take time out to recognize her tonight. If you could come down, Mayor, and help me with that.
Citizens Life Saving Award presented to Leslie Barrientos. In recognition for your courageous, selfless act during a sudden and unexpected structure fire in the early morning hours of October 26, 2020. Your quick and heroic actions saved the lives of all the residents at the First Street Assistance Living by evacuating everyone from the structure. In addition, once you realized a resident was unaccounted for, you acted quickly, broke a window, and assisted in the final resident, removing him out of into safety. On behalf of the City of Schertz and Fire Chief Cape Long, we present you with this award, and thank you very much. There we go. Okay. Next on the agenda is the hearing the residents. At this time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the city council. Several items I'd like to point out concerning the hearing the residents. First, individuals wanting to speak should have filled out the speaker's registration prior to our meeting. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and for the record, we ask that you state your name and your address. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks while addressing the council may be requested to leave our meeting. And finally, discussions by council on any item not on the agenda should be limited to statements of specific factual information given in response to any inquiry. Now, before we get started, signing up for the hearing of residents does not place you on the agenda. It is my objective to provide everyone the opportunity to speak at council and express your concerns. At this time, I will be extending one single opportunity to sign up for the hearing of residents, which is next on the agenda. So if you haven't signed up, here it is. Any takers? All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the hearing the residents. First is Michelle Talinsky.
Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown. Michelle Terlesky, 705 Maryland Drive, Schertz. When I was learning to drive, I was taught that when you saw flashing lights behind you, you pulled over and stopped. The lights may be for you or for an emergency, such as a car accident or a child found in a swimming pool. I didn't know there was an option to continue to go home. I will keep that in mind the next time I'm driving back from New Braunfels. So police officers were following a car on Live Oak Road. They probably knew who the car was registered to, but didn't know exactly who was driving. The driver could have stolen the vehicle, just robbed a convenience store, could be drunk, could be high on drugs, could have a gun, could have a knife. The driver pulled into a driveway, got out, threw up his hands. The officer still didn't know if the driver had a gun or a knife. The driver then ran towards the house. Why? To get a gun, a knife, to kill himself, use it on someone in the house, shoot the police officers, the neighborhood? The officers tried to handcuff the individual. He squirms and kicks, his back lays up. If the officer standing had bent down to help the other officer who was trying to handcuff him, they would have gotten kicked in the face. Okay, let's do some ifing. If a vehicle had been coming out of one of the subdivisions on Live Oak Road, if the driver had lost control of his vehicle, if he had collided with the vehicle coming out of the subdivision or just driving on the road, if the result was the death of the driver of the other vehicle, if that driver was one of your loved ones, you'd be standing at a cold gravestone, hugging the stone and saying, if the driver had just pulled over, if the driver had just stopped, if I could hug you one more time. And if your loved one could answer from the grave, they might say, Mom, Dad, if the driver had just pulled over, if the driver had just stopped, I would be hugging you now. Ask yourself, what should the driver have done? What could the police officers have done? Then let the words, "I could be hugging you," haunt you tonight, and pray you're not the one standing at a grave. Thank you.
Next is Sandra Kearns.
I'm Sandra Kearns, 416 Eagle Flight. I'm really glad that I get to follow Michelle's statement. Because when I was taught to drive, I was taught that if the lights go off behind you, it is okay to pull over when you feel safe. When it's safe for you and when it is safe for the police officer, pull aside. That young man, Saki Rayford, clearly did not feel safe. And it was proven that his fear was justified because as soon as the police encountered him, they greeted him with violence. And that is not okay. And so I am here asking the council and the mayor to please put on your agenda an opportunity for us to have a dialogue and start a dialogue about police encounters and accountability within our society. Because we, as small as Schertz and Cibolo is, we have an opportunity to make things better and be an example. Because it doesn't just happen here, and it doesn't just happen in New York, and California, and Minneapolis. It is a culture of policing, and it's something that we need to fix. Because some people see the flashing lights, they see an officer, and they feel comfort and safe. And a lot of other people feel the exact opposite. Fear, and it is justified fear. When I heard Saki calling for his father, I've only seen that video once, and it gutted me. To hear him banging on the door, pleading for his father because he was scared for his life. All I could think about was my two sons, my two boys, and them wanting my help and my comfort. Did he do the right thing? That's debatable. But he is also not a trained officer of the court. That's what police officers are. They're trained. They're supposed to be endued with our trust. That was not what I came up here to say. But her comments affected me to the point I really needed to say something. Because when I see those lights off behind me, my first thought is panic, sure panic. Even if I know I'm not, or not doing anything wrong, or maybe just speeding. If I know I'm just speeding and that's why he's stopping me, I still have sheer panic for my life. And why I say we need to talk about the culture of policing is because even within their policy, it is written in section 4.24 that they can't criticize the department. That alone sets up an opportunity where police themselves don't feel safe to talk about what happens. Thank you.
Next is Dana Aldridge.
Oh, hello, Council. How you doing tonight? Dana Eldridge, 2628 Gallant Fox Drive, Schertz, Texas, 78108. I'm almost 69 years old. I've been driving over 52 years. And I've probably gotten stopped 5 or 6 times in that whole 50 years of driving. Every time I see a police lights, I look at my speedometer. Am I going too fast? What did I do? Did I miss a light? Did I miss my turn signal? My heart rate goes up a little bit. But if he pulls over behind me, I pull over. I don't try to get away. I've lived in Schertz for 26 years. 24. The police department has made it a safe place. We've had situations that have occurred in a couple of different neighborhoods I've been in. The response has been top-notch. Situations have been resolved, taken care of with minimal problems. Minimal problems. We have a good group of people. I've had a couple of calls where Assistant City Manager Kelm here has helped me out in a situation in my subdivision now. We had a young lady pass away in her house. Police department showed up, treated that lady in that house and that whole situation with such respect. Unfortunately, we've had to call them out to get the yard done because nothing's happened with the mortgage company or anybody else. So we've had help that way. We've not had any problems. I wish we had this kind of show up for city council meetings all the time. I've been coming 8 or 10 years now, and we're lucky if we have maybe 8 or 10 people here on a city council meeting night, unless we're talking about annexing more property. I'd like to see people here more often, instead of we just want to complain about this situation. I just want to say I hope we all have good holidays, had a good Thanksgiving. Hope we have a good Christmas. Hope we remember the reason why we celebrate this season. And you know, we gotta get along. We gotta get along. We got to know that there's authority, and we need to follow the rules. Coming into the meeting, we have to follow rules to sign up and not make any bad words about anybody. So let's keep going how we're going, okay?
Scott Titterington.
Scott Titterington, 5325 Storm King in Schertz. The reason I'm up here is we hear so much negativity about the city of Schertz, police department, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I live in the city of Schertz because I like to live in a safe city. And that's what our local law enforcement, I have family members and personal friends who are in law enforcement, and it's one of the toughest jobs you ever want to do. And from my experience of talking to these people and family, is when they're in a situation, their adrenaline is high because they're going after people that have broken the law. That's why they're pulling somebody over, approaching them on the street. And it's the fear that the suspect has and the reason why they run. And from what I noticed in the video and everything coming out is that young boy had fear because he was guilty of doing something wrong. And I just feel that we as a society need to respect the authority that is out there, and I would like to see society just really respect the authority, and nothing will possibly, not much is going to happen out of that unless that person is guilty for running. And that's what I see in the situation. And unity is what I'd like to see, but I'm up here In my neighborhood is safe because of the city of Schertz law enforcement. I see them patrolling our neighborhoods. I can walk out, I can walk my dog around my neighborhood perfectly fine. I feel safe. And that's all due in part to the wonderful job the city council does, our law enforcement, and I am just proud to be a citizen of the city of Schertz because I feel safe. And I'm glad to see that the city of Schertz is a safe place. And I just thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, next is Sandra Dihoner. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that name correctly.
Good evening, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Sandra Dihoner, and I live at 5005 Timber Springs in Schertz.
Please, let's be a little more respectful. Let's allow this citizen to speak, please.
So we have recently moved here, my husband and I, from the Dallas area. And the one thing that people would tell me, be careful going through Schertz because you'll get stopped. Coming from the Dallas area, I was like, hey, I'm fine with that because if I'm doing something wrong and I need to either slow down or whatever and I get stopped, I'm okay with it. I take that responsibility because I do tend to drive fast. And I'm okay if I get stopped. I own that. If I did something wrong, then own it. However, I recently had my nephew come and live with my husband and I. We have no children, and he's 25, and he's a model citizen. Now, my concern is my nephew is out there and, he maybe runs a red light. And I know his adrenaline. I mean, he's going to be scared, big time. And he might run. So my thing is, I want to know that if he was to get pulled over and he did run, I want to know that they're going to handle him the right way. They're not going to take him down and do what they did to this young man on the evening of November the 5th. I was heartbroken for that child. I don't care how old they are. No one deserves to be treated like that. And especially, if it's someone, that's scared. I mean, I even get scared when I get pulled over and I know I did something wrong. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I want to know that these officers are getting the training. And I've been a teacher for several years. And you see all kinds of things and you go, I wish we could get more training for these teachers, because I'm there for these kids. And I want to know that these officers are getting the training that they need. That's my concern. So on that evening, did those officers do the right thing? That's all I have to say. Did they? When that young man was down there, I said, and saying, I'm down. And they didn't stop.
Okay, next is Josie Garcia.
Good evening, my name is Josie Garcia, 147 Amber Knoll. I am retired Air Force and I am an Iraqi war veteran. My husband is a Purple Heart combat veteran who was shot in Afghanistan in his service to our country. So what I'm here to discuss today is accountability. As a community advocate, one thing that I've been told numerous times, both speaking with officers who are screaming for accountability and speaking with the victims of those officers who don't care about being accountable. I've come to realize some things. We're blaming the wrong people. We're blaming an institution that I recognize very well. I recognize our policing because it's the exact same training I got when I went to Iraq and I was taught to kill the enemy. It's the same training. The same training. They're getting military training that's used for insurgents to deal with our children, with our community. I gave an oath to protect and serve and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You made a vow to protect and serve. There's a difference. What I'm asking you today is to please open conversation with your community. Please open conversation for there to be changes in your policing policies. Do not mistake every black man as an insurgent. Because as the lady mentioned earlier, what if? My question to you is, what if Rakeem Rayford was white? We wouldn't be standing here today. But instead, he ran a red light. Yes, broke the law. He wanted to get to a safe place, which I've been told many a times as a woman, get to where you feel safe. I don't know if you all are aware, black men do not feel safe with the police. So he went to the one place he knew, home to his father, who is also a war veteran. We're asking for compassion. We're asking for the same care and love of your citizens as you have for your Deer Bridges, for your Foxes. We're asking for that same level of compassion for Rakeem Rayford. And also, in a city of Schertz that has a reputation of being a racist place, I highly suggest that you not stick your only member of color on the side. It's a bad look. Thank you.
Brenda Pacheco.
Good evening, Mayor, council persons. My name is Brenda Pacheco. I live at 218 Beam. I actually do not live in Schertz. I live in San Antonio. But the reason I felt compelled to come to speak to you this evening is because my daughter drives through Schertz often because her best friends live in Austin. And so at least every weekend she's driving through your city. I have always told her to be careful when she drives through Schertz because I remember as a young girl, believe it or not, that it was known that you need to not drive fast through Schertz because they're going to catch you and give you a ticket. And my daughter has been known to get a ticket or two for going too fast, but I too consider her a model citizen. She works for a council person in San Antonio. But the reason that I want to share with you how I feel this evening is that I believed for a long time that I didn't have to worry about her getting pulled over in Schertz if she were driving too fast, that your officers would treat her with the same dignity and respect that they would treat anybody else, because that is the type of police force I knew and I grew up when I was young. But no disrespect intended, Ms. Bush, but I almost am very glad that I don't have a black son, because I know that if I did, they would not treat him, your officers would not treat him the way they treated Rakeem Rayford that evening. It is hard to watch that video. I know that you're probably sitting there saying, well, you don't even live in our city. We are all part of the same community. You all have jobs in San Antonio. You have relatives who live in San Antonio. We're all part of the same community. And I just want to not be assured, but I would love to have commitment from you all, that you all are going to not just sweep this under the rug, that you are going to talk about it and talk about it seriously, because clearly there were issues around how that was handled, and I firmly believe in my heart that it was handled in that manner because he was a young black man, because I am certain that if it was one of your children, grandchildren, relatives, that would not have occurred. Thank you for listening.
Jack Miller.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Jack Miller. I'm from all over the place. I go all over the place. Chavarria slipped by you. In case you haven't known, well, you do. I'll just let you know, you do. I know what you know. If I ask a question, get used to me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm all in this mess that you have. Not going nowhere. If I ask a question, there's a 99% chance I already know the answer. I just want to see if you're going to cover it up so I can expose you and get rid of you. Right now, this thing reeks of cover-up. When I saw the video, I saw a handful of violations of your city policy. By the way, Rampage Law Firm is fighting me on releasing policy and charging you money for that. I already have your policy. You handed it to me over the counter last year. But your law firm, you're probably going to spend thousands of dollars with them starting up arguments about releasing stuff like that to me. When you don't want to release policy, when one of your police officers have done something that the community feels is wrong, it just reeks cover-up. The city released what Zeke did in his past, released the fact that he ran a red light, evaded arrest, sped, what all his charges were. But when I started asking for things like the use of force policy and the taser policy to see if he followed those policies, as far as I know, and from your attorney, Rampage Law, you're fighting the release of it. Why don't you want me to know what the policy is? I'm going to answer that because you're not answering. I've called all you guys. You're not answering me. So I'll answer that question for the public. The reason, the powers that be, maybe it's just the police chief. I don't know. But you guys are in charge. Last time I checked, this is at-will employment, right? You can just get rid of them. But the reason that you don't want that release is because what happens? And I get it, and I dissect everything Chavarria did and the other officers did, and I expose the crap, the wrongs. You could fire this guy. He slipped past you. He screwed up in Converse, and he slipped past you guys. I haven't found out yet, but I'm going to find out how he slipped past you. Does he have a friend on the city that's in high up places? Does he know the chief? Or were you guys not paying attention? Or did he lie? We're going to find out. And if you haven't checked, check Princeton Police Department and see what we did there. We caught a police officer who lied about the fact that he shot somebody in Washington many years earlier. Find out what happened in Leon Valley. We find council members and police officers lying there, and we just got 2 removed from council through a recall. You guys know what recall is. We were successful in doing that. Not going to go away. Start being transparent, please. Stop fighting the release of information. By the way, for the last thing, for the people that think he ran a red light, I saw the video. The officers came over the hill. He could have stopped. There's no way they could have seen it. For sure, that's overzealous policing. You could sit at that light and catch somebody. You don't have to make a stop like that. When you do that, it results in things like this. I wish I had more time. There's so much more to say. Do the right thing, folks, please. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Dennis, were there any hearing the residents submitted via email? Okay. We'll move on to city events and announcements. Announcements of upcoming city events. Mr. James?
Thank you, Mayor. We have a few. Just a reminder, this Thursday, 2 nights from now, on December 3rd, is the Deck the City Hall event. It starts at 6 p.m. in the Hal Baldwin Complex. In addition to traditional holiday tree lighting, we will be lighting the Hal Baldwin Municipal Complex, something new this year. Folks can come by, enjoy live music, a craft, hot cocoa. We continue the holiday festivities on Saturday, December 5th, with the Holidazzle event that's put on by the city. Breakfast with Santa sessions are at 8, 9:30, and 11. Spaces limited. You need a ticket for that. They're $10 each. You can call the city's Parks and Recreation Department if you still need one, 210-619-1850. Chris Kringle Market is open in the is open from 9 to 4. We're going to have the Holiday Hoopla Ice Skating Rink, a giant snow globe, everybody's favorite Mount Schertz, even though we've made that a little safer over the years, it's still a lot of fun. Snow Angel Play Area, and that kind of runs from 2 to 8. The Holly Jolly Entertainment begins at 3 on the outdoor stage. Fireside toasting and roasting food trucks available. The Festival of Angels Lighted Parade along Schertz Parkway and Main Street, beginning at Pickerel Park, kicks off at 6 p.m. and ends up at the community center. And then again, we, as usual with everything going on, encourage folks to social distance and wear a mask to be safe. Next council meetings a week from now, Tuesday, December 8th at 6 here in council chambers. And next Wednesday, December 9th, we're going to have a special city council workshop at 6 p.m. in the Civic Center, and that's to talk about the chip seal program as part of the SPAM process, our road maintenance and repair program based on some citizen feedback. So thank you very much.
All right, next is announcements and recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown. Okay. Announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I have a couple of announcements I'd like to make. First, I'd like to thank Mike Patrick and Harmon's Barbecue for the Gift Back Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you for the sponsors and the volunteers that contributed to the success of this event. Over 1,000 meals were served, and that was quite an accomplishment. Also, congratulations to our city secretary, Brenda Dennis, recognized by the Texas Municipal Clerks for her outstanding record management system. And finally, a comment regarding the Hearing the Residents. Thank you for sharing your views, and we value your input. All sides of the spectrum have been presented during the Hearing the Residents, and everyone will have their own thought-provoking interpretation of this incident. And dissenting opinions have value, and this council is listening. Those on one side will try to reason with the other side, and vice versa. Those in the middle, oh my regrets, because you'll hear it from both sides, trying to persuade you to see it their way. But everyone had one common goal, justice. Isn't that what everyone is seeking here, justice? Now I ask you, is it fair to demand immediate action when the process has not been completed? The process will take some time. How long? I don't know. What I do know is patience is tough. Patience is bitter. But patience is a key element to justice. For you see, democracy cannot flourish when there is hate. And justice cannot be served when there is rage. Next is consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting, November 10th, 2020, and the special meeting on on November 16th, 2020. Item number 2, resolution number 20R-139, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, approving requests for the Schertz Main Street Local Flavor Economic Development Grants for 539 and 820 Main Street in the City of Schertz, Texas, and related matters in connection therewith. Excuse me a minute. Okay, item number 3, ordinance number 20S-37, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the comprehensive land use plan by changing approximately 40 acres of future land use map from the estate, neighborhood, and agricultural conservation land use designation to single-family residential land use designation, located 4,000 feet east of the intersection between 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County Property Identification Numbers 310024 and 310031, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas, and this is our final reading. Item number 4, ordinance number 20K-35, An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, closing and abandoning to the abutting property owners a portion of urban lane right-of-way between Live Oak Hills Subdivision Lot 1, Block 55, and Live Oak Hills Subdivision Lot 18, Block 54, and establishing an effective date thereof. This is also a final reading. Item number 5, resolution number 20R140. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a professional service agreement with Advent Strategic Partners and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 6, resolution number 20R119. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with AG/CM Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $32,663 for the construction management of the Schertz pedestrian routes and bike lane projects and Live Oak Road turn lane additions and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 7, resolution number 20R118. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with DNS Concrete for the construction of the Schertz pedestrian routes and bike lanes project and the Live Oak turn lane addition. And finally, item number 8, resolution number 20R134. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into the lease agreement with Stryker Flex Financial for the acquisition of 16 Stryker LifePack monitors and defibrillators, associated equipment and service plan, and other matters in connection therewith. Council, do any of these items need to be removed for separate action?
Item 3, please.
Any others?
Item number 2.
Council, any others? Okay. 2, 3. Okay, do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 and 4 through 9?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Dalla. I second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Davis. Any other comments? Not, let's call for the vote.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Okay, we'll start with item number 2, and then we'll move on to number 3. Item number 2 is resolution number 20R139. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, approving a request for the Schertz Main Street Local Flavor Economic Development Grants for 539 and 820 Main Street in the City of Schertz, Texas, and related matters in connection therewith. Councilman Whitaker, you had some questions. We'll start with you.
Yes, so just regarding the property at 539 Main Street. So looking at the purpose of the grant, I was just reading that it says to protect and enhance the attractiveness of the Main Street area. And so that particular grant is just for what I understand is landscaping, limestone borders, and river rocking large areas. So currently there's already landscaping there. And so I'm just curious if we're protecting the look or changing the look?
So we are changing, the applicant is proposing to change the look. So again, the structure that was there was originally built as a single-family residence, and that's what it's been used as up until now. The applicant's going to use it for a commercial business, doesn't necessarily have a tenant in mind, or may change over time, and so they want to redo the landscaping out front. Generally, that is to provide for more kind of outdoor use area, so it is changing the landscaping that's there to a more active area as opposed to what it sort of looks like now, which is a residential yard. And the local flavor grant has one of the categories particularly for landscaping.
Okay, so so I noticed there's the picture of the current residence.
Yes, ma'am.
And then it just describes the limestone border and the river rock, and it says large area. So are we talking about where there's grass, there would be river rock, or
Yeah, so they're applying for the grant now, and then they're going to come forward with a design. That design, they'll review with staff before they execute the agreement and then start the work for it. So they haven't come up with a plan yet. They initially wanted to submit for the grant and get that approved. But yeah, it's basically they want to create sort of an outdoor space area, as I understand it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Council, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve resolution number 20R-139?
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Hayward, second by?
Brown.
Councilmember Brown. Any other comments, questions? If not, let's call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, we have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. We'll move on to item number 3.
I don't really need staff for this.
Item number 3 is ordinance number 20S37. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the comprehensive land use plan by changing approximately 40 acres of future land use map from the estate neighborhood and agricultural conservation land use designation to the single-family residential land use designation located approximately 4,000 feet east of the intersection between 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County, property identification numbers 310024 and 310031, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas. Okay, Dr. Scagliola, you have the floor.
Yeah, I voted nay on this item, so it really shouldn't have been a consent item. Not in addition to the unanimous disapproval by the P&Z Commission, I voted no for my own concerns, and I'll likely do so again. But hey, I'll get over that. My message really is to the P&Z Commission. We recognize what you do, and it really isn't an easy job that you do. It is greatly appreciated. So don't let the approval of this item discourage you, and certainly don't take it out of context. There's a lot of things happening in the city and within our planning and zoning departments, and this is just may be an anomaly. I'm sure we're going to get to the bottom of it in the very near future and find a strategy to move forward. And that's all I had to say, sir.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Dalla.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on to that, Dr. Scagliola. There was good comments on that. I concur totally with that. Disagreement, between the commission and staff and/or council is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that we need to have a conversation and figure out exactly which direction we want to go. And I certainly respect and appreciate the members' efforts and volunteer of the time and effort that they put in there on planning and zoning as well. And so with that, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 20S37.
There's a second? Second by Councilmember Whitaker. Okay. Council, any other comments? All right, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, 1 objection, motion passes. All right, we'll continue with item number 9. Ordinance number 20T38, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. This is our first reading. Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is James Walters. I'm the Finance Director for the City of Schertz. We have before you today is basically a leftover unused budget from 2019-20. We're going to re-encumber those funds, basically move that budget forward so that they won't impede any of the projects approved in the current fiscal year. These include equipment and that was delayed in purchasing either due to shortages, back orders, as well as contracts that take multiple months, is going to roll into multiple fiscal years. So we try to catch some of these during the budget process when we know there's an outstanding amount and put that in next year's budget, but there are some that we don't all get to in time. So for the engineering department, they have $35,000 left on the study that they started already. Parks Department has $146,000 from the Senior Center parking lot and Ashby Park concrete trail projects that are unused and need to move forward, as well as some from the events budget. We had COVID, so a lot of our events were canceled. We'd like to move those funds forward to provide additional holiday lighting. Human Resources has almost $42,000 in the Employee Wellness Program. That's actually funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield, so we actually have the money. We just need to authorize additional expenses this year so we can use those funds. Facility Maintenance has $224,000 left on the police, fire, and EMS bathroom and shower project remodel. The Fleet Maintenance has $4,500 to complete outfitting their service truck. The Water and Sewer budget has $83,200 remaining to purchase their new truck, as well as complete their water system risk and resilience assessment and emergency response plan. Drainage has $35,000 remaining to purchase a new truck. Streets has $81,000 to purchase a new truck and finish the Westchester Sidewalk Project Phase 2. EMS has $261,000 to purchase a new ambulance that was budgeted in 1920. PD has $13,000 to finish their remaining vehicle equipment purchases, as well as pistols. And the fire department has $18,000 to purchase remaining uniforms, a fire hose, and complete the deck for Station 2. In addition to that, there was also a change as far as duties and responsibilities. They're moving the mowing contracts from streets to drainage. So that is just a transfer of budget from one department to another. That's a separate item from the re-encumbrance portion. Overall, there was a typo in the fiscal impact portion of the memo. It didn't add up all of the numbers correctly. There were some added at the end, but the ordinance is correct, stating that we would be re-encumbering $944,822. All of that was previously approved in 1920 and would come out of fund balance. So we need the unused funds roll into fund balance when we can calculate the revenues over expenses for our annual financial report. So you actually see an additional $944,000 in the fund balance when we submit our financial report to y'all. And this budget adjustment will take those out of fund balance and put them back into departments' budgets. You also see a $17,229 moving from the Parks Department to the Drainage Department for the mowing contracts. And we have myself as well as Brian James and Charles Kelm to help answer any questions related to these projects you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. No discussion. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 20T38?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Davis, second by Councilmember Hayward. Any other comments or questions? Not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, we have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Walters. We'll move on to item number 10, resolution number 20R141. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, adding Christmas Eve to the city's official holiday schedule and authorizing the educational pay for eligible full-time employees and other matters in connection therewith. Okay, Ms. Kearns.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As you mentioned, I'm here tonight with 2 requests as they relate to employee benefits. The first is to add Christmas Eve to the city's official holiday schedule. Currently, we have 10 approved holidays on the books. We're making this request to you for a couple of reasons. Customarily, it's been a very slow day. We don't see a lot of interaction with citizens and residents, as many of the businesses in our area, as well as other cities, are closed that day. So we are asking to add that to the holiday schedule. The cost to add it is approximately $32,000. That's a weighted cost, and it was estimated using 2019 payroll data. The additional cost comes from shift workers who would be working that day. Otherwise, folks who are normally scheduled to work on the day of the week in which the holiday falls, obviously we've already budgeted to pay them. So again, the additional cost comes from paying shift workers on that day. The second request is for, to authorize education pay for eligible full-time city employees. We currently offer education pay in public safety, and so we'd like to extend this benefit to the other city departments. We would be paying associate's degree, bachelor's degree, and master's degree. And the cost to extend this benefit to other city departments is approximately $31,000, again, weighted annually. Because we're requesting a mid-year adjustment, the cost in this year's, or the fiscal impact in this year's budget is approximately $23,000. And again, the costs were estimated using current employee educational information. These costs can be paid from contingency in this year's budget, and then the costs would be added in next year's base budget. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. Council, floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Davis.
I'm reading the write-up on the education pay. So, in other words, if someone has a master's degree, they'll receive an extra $45 per pay period because they have a master's degree. But if they're in a position that requires a master's degree, then they will not receive that?
Yes, sir. If it is listed as a minimum requirement in the job description, they would not be eligible to receive the compensation.
Because that's built into the pay scale?
Yes, sir. In theory,
as an education requirement?
Right, and you know, they're being compensated appropriately if it's listed as a minimum requirement.
Got it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Council. Councilmember Scagliola.
I'm just saying, I certainly value education, and I make a motion to approve resolution number 20R141.
Second.
One question.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Just a minute. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
Thank you. On the, I believe in education too. I think it's very positive, and there's not a downside to education as far as I can see. I like it, and I like it a lot. My question was, who determines, is it the department head or what have you? For example, in your public relations capacity, say somebody has a bachelor's and they want to get a master's, and they want to get it in English or in communications or in marketing. All of those are appropriate degrees for that discipline. Who signs off on that? Is it the city manager? I'm just trying to get the protocols on that, how it works.
Sure. So right now, we have not specified that the degree must be directly related to your current position. What we're saying is that we find value in just the education itself, obtaining the degree. So right now, we're not saying, or the city is not having to approve what the degree is actually in.
So if somebody wanted to get a degree in dance, for example, and this happened to my brother, by the way, he was going to help his sister-in-law and in dance. I mean, really? So any degree, as long as there's no questions asked on it? I have a problem with that. Art, people love art, you know. I mean, the reason I ask is because we're footing the bill on that per pay period, and so I don't want to be a stickler about it. I believe I'm on the same page with you. I'm certified in 8 different disciplines. I teach in 1. That's why I said I like education. I like it a lot. It has great intrinsic value, period, the end. But if the taxpayer is paying for this, I think it should be applicable, or there should be some kind of guidelines. Even if there's loose ones, I think there should be. That's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Council, any other comments? Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve resolution number 20R141 by Councilmember Scagliola, second by Councilmember Dalla. Any other comments? No comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Vote aye.
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 We have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we have a number of public hearings today. Let's start off with item number 11, ordinance number 20S41. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately .35 acres of land from Neighborhood Services District to Main Street Mixed Use District located at 603 Main Street, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas, and this is our first reading. Mr. Coplay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you. All right, good evening, Council. Nick Copier, Planning Division. So this is my first public hearing for you tonight. It's a zone change at 603 Main from Neighborhood Services to Main Street Mixed Use District. So here's an aerial map for reference. The subject property is outlined in green here. It's at the northeast corner of Main Street and then Randolph Avenue right here. So since this is a public hearing, we did send notice to the surrounding property owners within 200 feet of the subject property. We received 4 back, all neutral to the proposed zone change to Main Street Mixed Use District. Looking at the comprehensive plan, so the block between, as you know, Main Street and Exchange Avenue is designated as the Main Street Commercial Future Land Use Designation according to our future land use map. The objective of this area of Main Street Commercial and historic downtown Schertz is to leverage our city's history to try and create a unique destination filled with local independent businesses, primarily through the utilization of existing buildings, existing structures in this block between Main and Exchange. The Main Street Mixed Use Zoning District was created to help property owners achieve these goals by allowing for flexible redevelopment options. Looking at the zoning exhibit on the left, you can see what it currently is. The subject property here, Neighborhood Services, like I said, surrounded by the 2 streets, Main Street and Randolph Avenue, as well as 2 single-family residential properties currently. And so the zone change from Neighborhood Services, a commercial district, to Main Street Mixed Use, which is a lower intensity commercial district, in addition to a residential district, should not have an adverse impact on any of the immediate surrounding properties. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on November 18th and voted to recommend approval of the proposed zone change unanimously, and staff also recommends approval of the proposed zone change. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to address the council in reference to this subject? I see no one stepping up. Final notice for anyone wanting to address the council? All right, public hearing is closed. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. No discussion. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 20S41?
Make a motion to approve 20S41.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Brown, second by Councilmember Davis. Council, any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. We'll move on to item number 12, ordinance number 20S42. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately .35 acres of land from General Business District to Main Street Mixed Use District located at 539 Main Street, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas, and this is our first reading. Mr.
Again, another zone change for you on Main Street, this time from General Business District to Main Street Mixed Use. So if you recall, so this is the property you just heard about on 603. So 539 is just across Randolph, so at the northwest corner of the intersection between Main Street and Randolph Ave. Again, public hearing notice mailers were sent out. We received 4 neutral and 1 in favor to the proposed zone change from the surrounding property owners. Similar to the last project, again, designated as the Main Street Commercial Future Land Use Designation under the comprehensive plan. Goals and objectives are achieved through the Main Street Mixed Use Zoning District to try and create a unique destination with those local independent businesses. Looking at the existing conditions, Like I said, the subject property is currently zoned general business district, surrounded by 3 roads, Exchange, Randolph, and Main Street, as well as 2 commercial businesses, a hair salon, and I believe a satellite internet company's office. So the changing of the zoning from general business district to Main Street mixed use shouldn't have an adverse impact on these businesses, and then it's surrounded by streets on the other sides. Similar to the last one, the Planning and Zoning Commission met on November 18th, voted to recommend approval by unanimous vote, and staff is also recommending approval of the proposed zone change. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this item is on the agenda as a public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to address the council regarding this subject? Final notice for anyone who would like to address the council. If not, public hearing is closed. Council floor is open for discussion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Ordinance 20S42.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Dawes, second by Councilmember Hayward. Council, any other comments? Now let's call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. All right, item number 13, ordinance number 20S40. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, to approve a specific use permit to allow the operation of commercial amusement outdoor land use at 18658 Interstate Highway 35 North, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas, also known as Wiederstein Ranch, Lot 1, Block 1, and this is our first reading. Floor is yours.
All right, like you said, Mayor, this is a specific use permit to allow the commercial amusement outdoor land use. So 18658 I-35, that's currently the Evo Entertainment Facility. Just a map for your reference, again, outlined in the green is the subject property. It's the Evo Center right here. This is Interstate Highway 35, and then this is Cibolo Valley Drive. Again, a public hearing, so we sent out the notice mailers to the adjacent properties within 200 feet. We received 1 response from the adjacent property owner here in favor of the proposed specific use permit. So looking a little bit more in depth into the surrounding properties, so what you see, so this is the Evo facility here pinned. To the south and to the west of the subject property is around a 70-acre tract zoned general business and manufacturing light that is almost completely undeveloped. And to the east here, to the northeast, you see around a 20-acre tract zoned general business district. It's currently occupied with Bussies, the outdoor flea market on 35, and then a handful of single-family residential homes towards the rear of that property. So the goal of this specific use permit specifically is to allow the commercial amusement outdoor land use in order to construct paintball courses here on the eastern property boundary, which would be adjacent to this property, the 20-acre tract that I was mentioning. The addition of paintball courses could have some sort of noise impact, but a couple of things on that. So the subject properties are in a commercially zoned commercial zoning district along I-35. So the noise impact of paintball facilities would not be too far beyond what you would expect along an interstate highway in commercially zoned land. The applicant is taking all the necessary precautionary measures for a facility like the paintball courses that they've proposed, including the addition of, I think, 20-foot high professional grade paintball netting that'll go around the entire facility, make sure none of the paintballs leave so there's no kind of physical impact to the surrounding property owners, as well as kind of adding to a screening buffer. And as you saw on the previous map, we did hear from this property owner that would be directly adjacent to these paintball courses through the commercial use and outdoor land use, and they don't have any objections to the proposed site plan as it is. So looking at the comprehensive land use plan, the potential land uses for the adjacent properties would also not be affected, given that all of the properties immediately adjacent to Wiederstein Ranch Lot 1 Block 1 or the Evo facility here with the gold star are all designated as the commercial campus land use designation according to our comprehensive plan. So as you know, among other things, the primary goal for the commercial campus land use designation is a variety of commercial businesses, and so the development under the commercial amusement outdoor land use, and more specifically the construction of these paintball facilities, would not necessarily have a negative impact or impede the future development of any of these adjacent properties under that commercial campus future land use designation.
right, so what you're looking at on the left here is a snippet of the conceptual site plan that you got in your packets, as well as a graphic provided by the applicant, just to help you visualize kind of what they think it would look like with the paintball facilities here along the, I think it's like 10 acres on this side of this access drive. So first thing to note, this is where they're proposing the paintball facilities and this use specifically on the eastern property boundary. The 70,000 square foot building, which is the EVO facility currently, which is the commercial amusement indoor land use, is not proposed to change, nor is any of the landscaping or parking or access drives on site. So it would be simply the addition of the land use and therefore the paintball courses, which is what would be changing on site. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on November 18th, just like the other zone changes, and voted to recommend conditional approval, and more on that in a second, of the SUP by unanimous vote. And staff is also recommending conditional approval, primarily because of the conformance of the comprehensive plan the commercial amusement outdoor land use has, the minimal impact to the surrounding properties, given the land use and the immediately adjacent property owners, no objection to the site plan as proposed, as well as the amenity that it would offer, a different kind of commercial business along I-35 that we don't necessarily have, that fits the comprehensive plan and allows for more of a variety along that interstate highway. So per our Unified Development Code, we have two standard conditions for specific use permits. The first being that a building permit is approved within 1 year of the adoption of the SUP ordinance, and the second is that the use begins operation within 2 years of the issuance of the necessary building permits. And once again, staff and Planning and Zoning Commission are recommending approval with those conditions. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Before I open it up to the public, is the applicant here? I don't think I see him. No. Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone that'd like to address the council regarding this subject? Please step up to the mic. And for the record, could you please state your name and address?
I'm not that tall. 2628 Galafox Drive, Schertz, Texas. Dana Eldridge. Been waiting for some stuff to happen around the Evo plot. I see that they've already got big screening set up around that side property, almost like you were going to have a driving range there, but they've got it going. My concern, and I've voiced this, several people have voiced this, with all the construction going on 35 and the frontage road getting blocked up, Old Wiederstein Road is getting all kinds of traffic, all kinds of traffic. When there's a block up, I can tell that there's something happening on 35 because it's a solid stream of cars going down Old Wiederstein Road. Old Wiederstein Road is falling apart. So if we're going to do this, it'd be nice if you guys could maybe fix that road, or get in conjunction with Cibolo to fix it or something or other, because with added traffic, because of having this available, I can see it being a good thing. I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying that we need to look at a little bit deeper as to what some of the traffic flow is going to be. Because they're going to get off at 1103 and come up to Old Wiederstein and come in the back way. Come down to the frontage road rather than coming on up, especially if it gets tied up. So with all the traffic, it needs to be looked at for Old Wiederstein Road to get some kind of help. Okay, because right now people are driving down the middle to drive on a smoother area, but then you got to get over if somebody's coming, and so you're driving at an angle because there's a big crown in that road. Just a thought, just a thought.
Is there anyone else like to address the council? Final notice. Public hearing is closed. Council, floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Brown.
I applaud Evo for doing something in this limited activity time to get both business going as well as giving the local population another activity to pursue outdoor. So I think it's a great idea, and I would like to propose that we pass ordinance number 20S40.
Second. All right. Before we take the vote, Mayor Pro Tem Scott, you had some comments?
Yes, I thought that the road deterioration was really a good comment and a good observation. My question was, didn't we recently vote to purchase, was that old Wiederstein? Was it Wiederstein? Do you remember with Cibolo, we were working on one of those roads?
Yes, ma'am. So certainly staff has an opportunity to acquire some of the right-of-way needed for Old Wiederstein, and staff is out trying to do that. Again, it's a fairly small section. We're using roadway impact fee funds to do that for that section. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I thought that was it. So that could help move us in that direction of fixing the road.
It's a first step in that direction. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. And then I also want to piggyback on what Councilman Brown said. I was very glad to see that there's something going on over there, and it was kind of heartbreaking to get an email from Santikos asking for their patronage, and they're just trying to stay afloat and stay in business. This COVID has just wreaked havoc on the entertainment industry, and if we can help them hold on, or if there's anything we can do, I applaud them for still being in business, and it's going to be a destination location, and not too soon once we get over this hump. But, yeah, I wanted to say I totally agree with that, too. But thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Whitaker.
Yes, I do agree with the road comment. I think the extra traffic is a good time to start thinking about that. On the paintball issue, having young boys who play paintball and having been to some of the local courses, the good news is for that size land, you can't have that many bodies on the course at a time, so it does minimize traffic a little bit, considering the amount of space that they're using. So I do think there will be additional traffic, but I think for the amount of acreage that it covers, it's less than what it could be if it were a different type of business. So just to, if you're not familiar with paintball, I just thought I'd mention that it's not, I don't think it's going to fill up like a movie parking lot would because of the way the game is played.
Okay, Council, any other comments? Just have one comment. Facilities, that's going to be provided by EVO?
Sorry, say it again?
The facilities.
The paintball courses?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything we buy is part of the EVO Entertainment business.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Brown, second by Councilmember Scagliola. Any other comments? All right, let's call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Item number 14, ordinance number 20T39. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, to extend the term of the tax increment reinvestment finance zone number 2, Sedona/Crossvine, and extend the boundaries, City of Schertz, Texas, first reading. Mr. James, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. You may recall you just considered a very similar item back in September. On September 22nd, Council approved resolution number 20R107, and that was to basically approve the development agreement, the project and financing plan, and the interlocal agreement for TERS number 2, which we generally refer to as Sedona/Crossvine. State law requires that a few of those elements be approved by ordinance. So once the resolution was approved, we need to get council by ordinance to extend the life of the TERS consistent with those documents, expand the boundaries consistent with it. And then one change that I will say we're going to make to the ordinance is the ordinance you have before you references the resolution approving the project and finance plan. We're going to tweak that between first and second reading to make clear that this approval approves those as well. But essentially, this is part of that process of updating the TERS. It is scheduled to go to the San Antonio River Authority next week, and then we'll go on to Bexar County after that. So we're kind of moving it in steps, but generally they need to approve it the same way that you have before you. So really, this does the same thing that you did on September 22nd. It's just done via ordinance, which is required by state law. And so again, Just as a reminder, when the TERS was created, we had the first phase, which was the Sedona development that's out there. The economy turned, a different entity or party of entities came in and acquired the project, paused it for a few years, and really redid the design and the layout to what we see now with Crossvine, with the common drainage areas and the open space, things like that. And so in part because of that pause, in part because of the homestead exemptions that we've had out there that were not anticipated, that have come about since the creation, the developer is requesting to extend the term of the TERS. They've acquired additional properties to bring under their umbrella, so it would expand the TERS as well going forward. Again, it also increased, or with the agreement, increased the maximum reimbursable amount. But again, if they don't hit that by the life of it with approved expenses, that point, it's the end of it. So again, as staff said at that time, we're not anticipating that we would recommend modifications in the future of the TERS, at least substantive to this way. But this is part of maintaining that vision and what was intended for that area. So again, staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. James. I see we have an interested party, sir. Would you like to address the council?
I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. All right, it is a public hearing, so is there anyone that'd like to address the council regarding this public hearing? Okay, final notice. Anyone? Okay, public hearing is now closed. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Hey, Councilmember Brown.
Based on previous discussions, I'll just make a motion that we approve ordinance number 20T39.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Brown, second by Councilmember Scagliola. Any other comments? Now let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. All right, we'll have roll call confirmation. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide roll call confirmation for consent agenda items 1 and 4 through 8, and discussion items 2, 3, and 9 through 14. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, Mayor, for consent agenda items 1 and 4 through 9, the motion was made by Councilmember Dalla, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed.
Just one, I think I made a mistake. I said 1 through 9, it should be 1 through 8.
1 through 8, yes.
Thank you.
It's 1 through 8. I apologize, 1 through 8. The motion was made by Dalla, seconded by Davis. Councilmember Scott, Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 2, resolution number 20R139. A motion was made by Councilmember Hayward, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 3, ordinance number 20S37 on final reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Dalla, seconded by Councilmember Whitaker. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Hayward, and Brown voted yes. Councilmember Scagliola voted no. Motion passed. Item number 9, ordinance number 20T38 on first reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 10, resolution number 20R141. A motion was made by Councilmember Scagliola, seconded by Councilmember Dalla. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 11, ordinance number 20S41 on first reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 12, ordinance number 20S42 on first reading. Motion was made by Councilmember Dalla, seconded by Councilmember Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Cagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 13, ordinance number 20S40 on first reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Cagliola. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Cagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 14, ordinance number 20T39 on first reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Cagliola. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Cagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes. No one voted no, motion passed.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. We'll move on to workshops. Workshop discussion on the update regarding the COVID-19 virus in our current ordinance number 20H18, our declaration of local disaster. Ms. Sommer?
Good evening. Here to the Summer Hall, the emergency manager for the city, here to give you the update for the COVID-19 response this week. So our current numbers, as you guys I'm sure are all aware at this point, are continue to go up. Our active cases for Guadalupe County are at 237. For Schertz, it is at 40. The active cases currently are including confirmed active and probable active. So they've made that change in the past month about how they're reporting those active cases. Bexar County is at 9,029, and Comal County is at 482. If you can see, we see a current trend just going up in all areas as we expected, especially as we move into the holidays. We do expect a little bit of erratic numbers being reported in the next week or two because of the testing that had closed over the holiday weekend, and so some of that's going to take some time to flush back out as they start reporting numbers. So if you see those trends do continue to rise. For Guadalupe and Comal County, we have seen a significant increase specifically in these counties here, and they do continue to rise, so we continue to monitor that as well. The school district is currently at 27 positive cases. They have 19 students and 8 staff members as of yesterday. The good news is that the fatality rate continues to go down. So as our active cases are going up, our fatality rate is going down. That also is kind of in line with the hospitalization. So our hospitalization rate is not rising at the same ratio as our active case rate, which is really, I mean, that is encouraging. The positivity rate is skewed all over the place. We had so many people go get tested prior to the holiday weekend that it shot up the number of people being tested, but the positive cases didn't shoot up at that same ratio. So it really skewed the positivity rate, and we're trying to encourage people not to look at that, to say that, you know, positivity is not that high, so no big deal, but the active cases really are going up. It's just that so many additional people are getting tested. The governor did extend the disaster declaration for the state of Texas on November 6th, and that will be for an additional 30 days. So that'll come up on the 6th or 7th. I think it'll be at the 6th, every 30 days for renewal. We do follow suit with the state's disaster declaration, so that did extend ours as well. Daily new cases, if you can see, it continues to rise, and you can see in the last few days at the end there that has shot up pretty significantly. Daily new cases was over 10,000. So, sorry, I don't have the pointer doesn't, oh, there it goes. Okay, so right here, this was November 30th, and that was 10,699 daily new cases in the state. So that's pretty significant for us, and you can see that trend sharply increased over the past couple of days. So we expect through the holidays that will continue to rise. Like I mentioned earlier, the good news about this is that the hospitalization rates are not rising at the same rate that our active cases are rising. So that is encouraging, which doesn't tax our hospital systems in a way that stresses the system beyond its capacity to respond. So if you'll see, we are at 587 patients currently, 182 in ICU, and patients on ventilation are 99. The call I was on today, there was still plenty of bed capacity in our hospital system around here, so we're doing okay. The number we do pay attention to is that hospitalization rate. So of the active patients that we have, how many are requiring hospitalization? We need that number to stay under 15%. As you can see in the past month, that has risen pretty sharply. We were staying on average under 5% pretty consistently, but in the past month, that has risen and almost doubled in our percentage of hospitalization. That being said, when you look at it from the overall state, we're still pretty low compared to the rest of the state. So we will continue to monitor that number and make any adjustments as necessary. And that's the COVID update for this week. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, thank you, Ms. Hall. Council, any questions? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
Yes. So the 40 active cases in Schertz, it does include the probable. What's the criteria for probable?
So they have to meet 2 out of 3. It's pretty technical what their criteria is. There's 2 out of 3 things that DSHS requires, and it's laboratory testings and things presumed based on variations. Honestly, their criteria is too technical for me to understand in a way that I can explain it. It's about their antigen testing, and then they have to meet presumed criteria in 2 of the 3 areas that they look at to consider it a probable case. Okay. I can send you some additional literature on it, but I would misspeak if I tried to explain it in my understanding of it. So I could try to get some additional information.
I would love that, because I know early on when all of this hit, their probable was just if somebody was around somebody who had it. It's been pretty lax, and it's all over the place. They keep changing the criteria and the goalposts, by the way. So I would love to know that. If you want to, technical's fine. So active cases are on the rise, and I did see that you had statistics for the fatality. Do we have statistics for Schertz fatality?
Not specifically offhand. It's fairly low for Schertz. I can get the exact number for the. Do you know about that? It was, and I thought
you're right. I thought it was like 3 or 4 at the most, but okay, good. And then. The hospitalizations currently in Bexar County, I know I read a couple weeks ago, they were flying people in from El Paso, the COVID patients, to put them in Bexar, and I thought it was dishonest of the news to start counting like the hospitalizations in Bexar County on the rise when those were increasing the numbers without segregating those. Is that?
Well, so they did bring hospital patients from other trauma service areas, and the trauma service area P is the Bexar County area, but it's much larger than that. It's a pretty big system. Yeah. But I think the highest number of El Paso patients that we had out of all of our patients was 17. So it was pretty minuscule, and there was a lot of coverage on us receiving patients, but the highest that I saw ever that it got to was about 17 patients. Okay. So it didn't skew our numbers in the way that we expected it.
Yeah, 17 out of 587 isn't exorbitant by any measure. I thought it was higher than that.
Right, because we were concerned too that it was going to increase our hospitalization percentage rate and create some other concerns for our area, but it ended up being pretty small.
Okay, and then finally, last but not least, the December 6th emergency declaration. Are we always going to be an emergency? I mean, it's been going on for months. And I know you can't read the governor's mind or, what's going on, but again, just changing the goalpost or the game plan, like, from 10% positive, if we get it under 5%. In San Antonio, when it's been under 5%, it's on the news nowhere till 2 weeks later. Oh, it's over 5% now. It's just the news is extremely negative, and it's hard to pull truth out of all of that because, they're clickbait, and if it bleeds, it leads. But I would like to, I don't know, I guess you can't look in the crystal ball and guess when it's all going to be behind us. Do you know of any criteria from the DSHS of when it will not be an emergency anymore?
No, ma'am. I mean, it will all be driven by the positive cases and hospitalizations, and so I don't think that there is a way to project that until we see some type of difference being made with vaccines and things like that.
Okay, yeah, I thought probably the vaccines would change it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, council, any other comments? Thank you, Ms. Hall. All right, item number 16, workshop discussion and possible action regarding various city council liaison appointments. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Traditionally, at the end of the year, at the end of the fiscal year, and at the end of the election, council normally reviews their current liaison positions that they are sitting on. Also, the purpose is to fill any vacancies that may have occurred based upon, the election. So I have provided you the information in your packet and sent you an updated cover sheet, and I do apologize, Councilmember Brown, I didn't mean to leave you off the main street, but oops, but you're back on it. You were always on it. Anyway, we do have just one vacancy right now, and that is on the Main Street Committee, but it's up to you guys. You guys sit on certain boards and the boards and committees, and if you want to continue to stay, or if you want to change, or this is your opportunity to discuss among yourselves. If you want to continue where you're at, or if you'd like to move to a different one, or things like that. That's the purpose of this. This is what you guys are involved in. So now it's up to you guys if you want to stay on your current ones, and let's see if we can try to fill the vacancy of the Main Street Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. All right, we'll start off with the mayor. We'll leave mine alone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, would you like to make any changes to your assignments?
When I'm looking at this, I feel kind of like a slacker because I'm on one, but I work very long hours, and being a teacher, I just have exceedingly long hours. The interview committee, it's fine. I'd love to do the animal if there's one open. If there's not, I understand that too, if it's your passion or what have you.
If you want animal, you can have animal. I won't.
I'm sorry, we can't, what?
I told her if she'd like the animal, I'll let her have animal. I don't have to hoard it.
That would help. I wouldn't feel like a slacker.
So you would like to give your position up on the animal and give that to Councilman Scott?
Councilman Scott wants it. I'm willing to let someone else have it. I enjoy it. It's on a Wednesday night, 6 o'clock.
Okay. Is it every Wednesday night?
No, Wednesday night.
Okay. I was like, I backtrack on that a little. Okay. That's awesome. Thank you, Councilwoman Hayward. Do you want the interview committee, or are you just giving me your animal?
Well, let's go down. I'm writing them. No, that's fine.
I mean to violate protocol.
No, it's I want because you're Mayor Pro Temp. I gave you the opportunity here.
Thank you, sir.
Then we'll go down the line based on seniority now.
Okay.
Dr. Scagliola.
I'm happy with my positions. One thing I did want to ask about, though, is developing a liaison with the Schertz Senior Center. I get talked with quite often when I go over there. Apparently, they seem to think I'm one of the seniors. I don't know how they ever got that idea. But it seems that, well, quite frankly, I think this council lacks a little bit of, I don't know about oversight, but insight into the goings-on at the senior center. So I propose that we create a position.
I think on that one.
I can bring an item back to council at the next meeting, and we can put some information together on, because it may be the next meeting. I do need to sit down with YMCA, who runs the senior center, Okay? And make sure this is good, and let's kind of flush out this stuff, if you don't mind.
Works for me.
I'm pretty sure it won't be next agenda, because that's next week, so I've got to have some time to actually talk with Freddie and the senior, I forget her new name, anyway, Gayla, yes. So, yeah, that's what we need to do, all right? But I can look into that and come back and see what we can do.
Okay, so we're looking to a senior center liaison position, and we'll provide Mr. Councilmember Scaglioli the opportunity.
Opportunity, right. Mhm.
On that count, on that.
Unless you find somebody more senior.
No, I think.
You don't think so?
That's why you were next.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You got me beat by a year or two. All right, next we have Councilmember Davis.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to keep what I got, with the exception of the audit committee. I'd be willing to offer that one up.
Okay. We'll remove Councilmember Davis from the audit and create a vacancy on that one.
Somebody's raising their eyes. I think we got an interested party.
Yes.
Wait, raise your hand.
Am I supposed to say I want that?
Ooh.
Is it up
No,
for grabs now? Do I have to
I guess
wait my
we
turn?
need to wait till you, I guess it's your turn.
All right. All right, we'll move on then to, okay, we have Councilmember Hayward.
I want to keep mine, but I might take up that Main Street Committee vacancy.
Now, you did give up your animal.
Yes, I gave up
So
my
you'll keep
animals, so
the
I'll
others,
take
that's
Main Street.
correct?
And I'll keep the other ones and pick up Main
You're wanting to fill the vacancy on the Main Street?
Yes, ma'am. And keep the ones I already have, except for animal.
There you go. Got it.
Okay, Councilmember Brown.
I'll keep what I have as long as my name's on the Main Street.
Yeah, I did. That was accidental. It wasn't on purpose. You're on my distribution list.
But you know I had to address the mayor on that, and he
That's true, and he told me right away, sir. And I quickly corrected it and, made sure that you got that information today. I do apologize.
All right, Councilmember Dalla.
I'm fine with the current positions that I'm serving on.
Okay. Councilmember Whitaker, we have a vacancy on the audit.
I will fill that vacancy.
Okay. And any others you might be interested. It's entirely up to council if we want to double up, or we can't have more than 3 on one committee. 3's the max, but there's certain.
I would be interested in the TERS 2 board. There's already 2 members there, but since I live in that area, I would be interested in being involved in that.
Any objections by council?
Excuse me, Mayor. I believe there is.
Set spots on that?
Yes, we have set spots, so we would have to bring back an item to increase the numbers on that board before we can.
I think probably replace.
Or we could, yes. Okay.
Might
Or
make it
assign
easier
an
to make a
alternate.
quorum.
It would, for established.
Yeah, we'll go back and look at that.
Okay.
It's not a necessity.
Okay.
In fact, if I'm not wanted,
No, you're wanted, but, some of these boards and things are done by ordinances or resolutions, so I can't just say, okay, that's fine.
that's fine. I can wait till I have more seniority. But if you need more assistance with the we already have too many people on Main Street, don't we? Well, so you have, I will just stick with the audit committee.
We'll do with the audit, and we'll double check to see what we can do with TERS.
Okay.
Because we do have 2 people coming up for a reappointment, I believe that is. Yes. We'll check into that.
That's fine.
Okay, and what I can do is I can bring you guys an update on what y'all have said. I mean, I guess if you want to, I'll put this all together and I'll double check the stuff for you and get back with you, and we'll double check the tours for you and the reassignments. I've got that, I believe, straight. Do you guys have any other questions?
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we have the senior center and the TERS that we're going to...
Right, I'm going to look into the senior center liaison, doing a liaison appointment, and look into the TERS appointments, and see if there's anyone that is not going to be filling, but we'll get back to you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dennis. There is no roll call confirmation needed, so we'll move on to agenda items number 17, update on utility billing operation changes, and item number 18 is update on the scope and philosophy of the comprehensive plan, UDC update. These are informational items in the council's packets and are available for public viewing, so there's no discussion on those. So we'll continue with requests and announcements by our city manager, Dr. Brown. Okay. Any possible updates or information requested from staff? Council? None? Okay. All right. Council, any items you'd like to put on your future agenda items? Yes.
Okay. I would like to go back to the Crescent Bend Nature Park, the walking trails with all the bicycle traffic that has been descending upon that, and as those apartments fill up, it's become more and more and more. I've noticed many seniors are walking it now, as well as young families, and I think something should be done about it sooner than later.
All right. Our city manager, Dr. Brown, you get with, and get more specifics? Okay.
That might be encompassed in that, but I'm talking about a specific item to address that, the traffic in that park. It's just breathtaking. It's stunning. There's so much, you know, one day we're going to have to talk about more parking for that area, but that's a future date, maybe only a year, you know, away. I mean, it's coming online big time. But I'm talking about when people are on the walking trails and the bikes come by, and it's a danger, and I'd hate for the city to be liable or anything like that. I think it's something needs to be done sooner than later.
Well, yeah, why don't we do, you know, emphasize Crescent Bend during the Parks Board when we meet joint session. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Announcements by Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
None at this time.
Councilmember Davis.
Thanks, sir.
Councilmember Whitaker.
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Dalla.
No.
Councilmember Scagliola.
Just like to say I did my part to promote the Men's Health Month. Mission accomplished on that front, and it felt real good to shave this morning. That's all I have, sir.
Councilmember Hayward.
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Brown.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. I don't have any other comments. The time is 7:59. We stand adjourned.
That was pretty funny. The shaving comment there.